I know we're kind of at an Ascension metaphysical conference, but what I have for you doesn't normally fall in those categories, normally. I want to make it normal for those categories, though, because I feel like what this guy was saying was not just religion. He didn't want himself to be put up on a pedestal for people to worship him. That's not what he was doing, not at all to me. And so I think it's really important for us to kind of go back to the past a little bit for us to understand the now and then the future as well. Am I a little loud, Mike? Good. So I want to thank everyone for being here today, first and foremost, all the great presenters, the alchemy, the quantum healing, the law of one. I think all of those things are great, and I'm a fan of I'm a fan of all of them. I study all of them. I feel like if I want to reveal the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, I've got to do it all. I got to look under every rock. I got to look at every book, try every modality to really find out what is the truth. What's the deep truth? Because when I was in college and I got out of college and I got this diploma for $45,000, and I was sitting there thinking, man, I don't feel any more intelligent. I don't feel any more completed. I don't feel any more that I have anything better than anybody else. I don't have this understanding now what I'm supposed to go do with the psychology degree. And so there's a lot of things I was just like, man, this doesn't make any sense. So I remember just kind of saying out to the universe, to God, I was like, I have no clue. I spent 8 years in college for a 4-year degree. I just spent 8 years here, and I got nothing. I have literally nothing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go. College was really fun. That's why I stayed there for so long. But what do I do with this degree now? I don't have any idea. I don't know anything. And I just told God, I was like, I don't know if Christ is right, Buddha is right, atheism is right. I have no idea. But I need to find something. You need to help me find something that's real so that I can follow that. Because I'm willing to follow anything you got. But all I know is going to school and doing all the things I've been told so far hadn't got me there. And right after that's when things really start to go crazy. I would say 2007 for me is really 2005, 6, 7 is when things really start to heat up. The internet was big, and I was able to get online and read things and read books and try out these new modalities I'd never heard about across the world. And I was open to everything. I was open to anything and everything. So that's where my story began, and starting to look out and try to find what's going on. Because I went to church every week, sometimes twice a week. I went to the Bible studies, I went to church camps. And I remember being in a Pentecostal holiness church where people are speaking in tongues, running up and down the hallway, being like, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe you guys are speaking in another language. And these were my cousins, people I had family members who were doing it. And I had the utmost right respect for them. But something was still off. It was still missing. The message was still not there for me. And I knew that I couldn't confront anybody about it. But deep down, that sent me on a path of confusion, only to be that literal parable of the lost son, right? The prodigal son, to go out and just figure it out, and do all the sin and do all the things and come back. And the Father's still glad to see you. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad you're back. And I think that's where I'm at now. So I want to share that because, to me, 2 billion people who claim to be Christian are talking about the messenger and not the message. So my intention today is to bring you the message of Christ today in a way that makes sense with quantum healing, quantum physics, the understandings that he was trying to give people and why he had to talk in these parables. Because obviously, you couldn't just say whatever you want to back then. Couldn't just say anything you wanted to out and about. You would be murdered for it. And almost today, you can't say anything you want to anywhere because you'll be canceled, you'll be cut out, you'll be misogynist, you'll be this, you'll be that, and you can't say anything anymore. So I hope you guys will let me speak freely today for just a few minutes with you guys. So that being said, I have spent the past 20-something years trying to figure out what's going on. Why is Christianity hijacked? And I believe it's crazy to think that 2,000 years ago, that these people all of a sudden knew what he was talking about. This guy had to die in front of people, come back 3 days later, and hang out for 40 days. Some dude still didn't believe it. Thomas had to stick his fingers in his hands just because he was like, well, who are you? And people still didn't get it. How do we think all of a sudden 2,000 years later, we know exactly what he was saying. We know exactly what it means. We know exactly what he was talking about. He's it. He's the all-end-all being. As long as I believe in him, I'm saved. That's crazy. I think it's crazy. Like, that's it? That's all? No. There's a whole lot more to it. So all these modalities and everything I think are great. All the metaphysics, all the religions, all the cultures have a lot of answers. All the ancient sites are incredible. But eventually I feel like if you study all the things, all the books, all the modalities, you eat healthy, you practice meditation, you do your yoga, you start to unionize with yourself, you start to become one again. At that point then, I feel like narrow is the gate. That you can do all the things and that's great. But eventually, if you want to be like this, there's one path. Narrow is the gate. It's a small little window that each of us must get through. And I believe it starts with the personal relationship with Christ. And that he was here telling us what to do, how to do it, how to understand who he is. And for me, I remember, I have had visions, I've had dreams, I have feelings of being these guys. Being someone like Judas, being someone like Matthew, being absolutely mesmerized by this person. And the Judas is the one in particular that I'm talking about, that I remember and have visions and feelings of being Judas. Of not just standing with him and hanging out with him, but being behind closed doors with him as he revealed these parables and teachings to the true disciples, to the things he could not say out in public to the people. And people would tell me, you can't be Judas, you know. At most it's a complex, maybe. Maybe it's only a complex. But if you don't think that this book offers you reincarnation, I would beg to differ. Even in the book where people are asking, you know, Jesus, who are you? He goes, who do you say I am? People say, you're Jeremiah. You might be Isaiah. Maybe you're Elijah. They're literally saying, we think you're a prophet who's come back to us again. That's reincarnation, right? He says, he actually even says many times by many of the Gospels accounts, they asked him, you know, we thought Elijah had to come back first. And he says, well, who do you think John the Baptist is? And they've done all the things to him that they wanted to, but they still got to do stuff to me too, because you guys won't even see it. John the Baptist was Elijah, reincarnated. I believe Jesus was Elisha, incarnated. Elisha was basically Elijah's, apprentice. He was learning from him, teaching him. And then Jesus comes back, and now he's the master. He's become the master. He's had that 18 years where he's gone around India and all these places to figure out who he is and how to do all these things and the works and the understandings and the quantum physics. He's done all that. So I do believe that Jesus was Elisha. I also believe, according to Edgar Casey in his channelings, he was also Enoch and even Adam, the first man. And that the fall of grace from Adam is the karma that Jesus had to play out to be crucified on the cross, to finalize his ultimate work for what he came here to do. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day right here at this point to argue. But I do believe that is who he was, that he is a reincarnated soul over and over again. He was our ancient prophets, and he's come back to finish his work. And this is the big one. Because this is something we ain't forgotten 2,000 years. This is something our whole calendar is being reoriented around his birth and his death, and something that we can't forget. It's something that we cannot forget who this guy was. He was trying to tell us. What was he trying to tell us? Who was he trying to be? Who was he, really? Was he those people? I think he was. I think John the Baptist was really Elijah. And so the personal relationship that we can have with him, go back to that real quick, me being Judas, if I was Judas, the thing that came up for me over and over again was that I got to be in those rooms behind closed doors to listen to those parables and tell me what they were. And I listened, and I was trying to figure it out. And I have had my own experiences now, based on the fact that I have my own personal relationship with him now, that although that he's ascended and gone up, it's never gone. He said, I will be with you to the end of the age. So that means if Christ is always here, you can have a relationship with that energy, with that entity, with that person, whatever you want to call it, right here and right now. So that's what I believe that I have been doing. And because I've done that, I've had times where I have prayed, times where I have had what felt like Christ walk up right behind me, whisper into my ear a parable, and instantly download the entire parable of the prodigal son, or a different parable, and know exactly what it was. And that it was quantum physics about me. And that I'm the prodigal son. I'm the one that has to go out. And of who the father was, and all the understanding of that came with it. It lit me up. And if that can happen to me, then I know that it's happened to people in the past, and I can see it, and I can see it in people's writings and their paintings and their artwork, and I can say, oh my God, he's been doing this ever since he left, which he never did. He's still here. And so that made sense to me. It's like, I have this relationship. And to the point I told Cassandra about it, I said, you know, I have this Judas complex of whatever it is. I felt like I did him wrong, and I need to figure it out what it is. And we went to Estes Park, and we were sitting there talking about it, and lo and behold, in the cafeteria there's a book right there, and it's called The Gospel of Judas. And so right then and there I grabbed it, and the first thing it says is Judas was a descendant of Jacob. And I said, well, that's some synchronicity. And my whole arm just lit up with tinglies, and the hair standing up on the top of my arm straight up. And I was like, man, that's something. And then the entire book, I just had that feeling the whole entire time. And ever since then, it's never stopped almost for me. There's just so many things that Christ is constantly revealing to me. And many of those things are these parables. What are these parables talking about? What does he mean when he's telling these parables? And why do they seem so important, but they seem so like, almost sweep them under the rug and give them to the Sunday school class, because that's nothing I never heard about when I went to church when I was a little kid. But the parable of the bag of gold is one of them that's a good start. And this master gives his servants the gold. He gives one 5 bags, one's 2 bags, and 1 bag to one, all according to their ability. And according to this parable, the guy with 5 comes back with 10, the guy with 2 comes back with 4, the guy with 1 comes back with 1. And he's all my good and faithful servants to the guys who had doubled theirs. And the one guy was like, man, I didn't want to squander. I didn't want, you to get mad at me. So I just buried this thing in the ground, and I was going to give it back to you just the way you gave it to me. I thought I was good, And he's like, you are a wicked, lazy servant. Give me that bag of gold. I'm giving it to the guy who had 5, who has 10 now. And he said, why would you do that? He's already got 10. And it says, for those who have, more will be given to you. That is why I'm here right now, because of what I've been given. The understandings, the love, the Holy Spirit, that beautiful relationship that I have, I feel obligated to share it. That it is my upright duty to do it. That I've been given something so special, so incredible, that if I don't go out and sow it to more people, why is God going to give me any more? He's not going to give me any more. You didn't do anything with that. All that stuff you had, those experiences you had, that Holy Spirit that you had, the ancestors that came to you and woke you up and showed you alchemy and showed you all this stuff, and you're not doing anything, you don't tell anybody about it? I got a whole mystery schools podcast because I can't not talk about this stuff. I have to share it because I feel like the more I share, the more I'm going to get. And that's what he says. You shall reap what you sow. For those who have will be given more. And those who don't will be taken from them. We're at the end of this age that he was talking about. And particularly in the parable of the net and the parable of the weeds, both of which are pretty similar, where he talks about there's a farmer who farms the wheat, the weeds come in, they ask him, do you want us to pull the weeds out? He's like, nope, wait till the harvest comes because we don't want to pull the wheat out too. And in the explanation of what's going on here, the guy says basically, when the harvest is ready, the angels will come down at the end of the age. We're the end of the age of Pisces, right? At the end of the age, I will separate, the angels will come down for the harvest and separate the good wheat from the weeds. And the weeds will be thrown into the fire and burned up. Same thing with the parable of the net, with the fish. We'll separate the good fish from the bad fish. The angels do that at the end of the age. The Hopi tradition talk about the final world was destroyed by water last time. And this time it shall be fire for the purification. You want to walk out there into the deep forests of the Colorado mountains, and you'll unfortunately see the beetle kill has killed so many trees that it wouldn't take much to light the whole entire forest on fire for years probably. I believe this whole world will be burned down for it to be built back again. For death is birth, and light is dark, and the end is the beginning. And that's where we're at. We are at the end of the age. We're at the end of the cycle where the angels are going to come, harvest the good souls. That's just what it is. It's a graduation. It's a harvesting. But it is said over and over many times in these parables that the angels are coming down to harvest these good people who've done what they're supposed to do, who live the life of goodness and not wickedness, who love instead of lust, who forgive instead of hold grudges. I, for one, am doing my absolute best to be one of those good souls, the good wheat instead of a weed. Christ also reveals so many things to me about what's in the text. Be still and know that I am God. It is in my stillness where I've had these revealings mostly. You know, he says, if you want to pray, go into a dark room and close the door by yourself. Where I've had my ultimate prayers answered, where I've had these biggest enlightenment shifts, these biggest understandings, the biggest, what feel like real feelings of that person being with me are typically by myself. I've had a few where they've been with other people. One time in a Reiki, doing Reiki energy healing on somebody, I felt like Christ walked up to the room, up to the bed itself, and walked into me, which gave me an insight to what it would be like to be in the Christ consciousness. You know, the power, the love, the compassion, the empathy. It was amazing. It felt like 45,000 years is probably like 45 seconds. But it was an incredible feeling to know that that could be something that you could be and do all day long, and that you should. That's what he was trying to say. You should be like this. You should be like me. Know that I am God, not he is or she is. I am. The same word of God. What is it? I am that. Put a little comma there. I am. I'm that, and I'm that, and I'm all the that's that there is. I'm the universe. I'm the planets. I'm the stars. What you give to the least among you, you give to me. Because they say, well, how do we give you when you're hungry? How do we clothe you when you didn't have clothes? How do we give you some place to stay? Where were you at? What you did for the least among us, you did for Christ. What you do for those who nobody cares about, the autistic people, the homeless people, the people that everybody just walks by and overlooks, how you make them feel, how you treat them, that is God. They are God too. What you do for the least among them, you do for God. So that's why I think that's important. The more and more I read these texts, I read these scriptures, the more and more I have this relationship, I get this more understanding. Yes, that's it. You're getting it. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep pushing me to be that light worker, that I am carrying my own cross, that each of us have our own crosses to bear. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of responsibility, but how do you expect to be given if you're not giving it out? How do you expect to be loved if you're not loving? How do you expect to be honest if people to be honest with you if you're not honest with them? It is what we put out is what we get back. And to me, to be that light worker, to be that person who is literally carrying their own cross of the things that they're supposed to do is extremely important. There's a part in this Bible here that I want to share with you guys, and I'm just going to read it because I feel like that's the best way to do it. Because it lets you know that Jesus didn't just come down here to be worshiped, to let you know that he's doing all these things for you, that that you're exempt from doing anything yourself, but that he wants us to be one with him and one with God. And I'm just going to read this, John 17. And Jesus prays for all believers. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you and I are one, and I am one in you. May they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. I have given them the glory that you gave me, that you may be one as we are one. I and them, and you and me, so that they may be brought to complete unity. There's a completion of you. To unify with the great Spirit. Let me finish. Then the world will know that you sent me and have loved them, even as I have loved, and that you have sent me and have loved them, even as you have loved me. Father, I want those you have given to me to be with where I am, to be where I am, and to see my glory, the glory you have given me because you loved me before the creation of the world. Righteous Father, though the world does not know you, I know you. And they know that you have sent me. I have made you known to them and will continue to make you known in order that the love you have for me may be in them and that I myself may be in them. That he literally wants us to be like him. He wants his self to be in us and for us to be one with the Father. I don't feel like it's any more clear than those couple of verses could be. And I'm sorry, I got a little emotional just reading them. I didn't think I would do that. But I don't think it's any more clear that he obviously wants us to be in him and us in God just in the same way as he is. In the same way. Not that he's better, not that he's above, but in the same way that he is one with the Father, you should be one with the Father and the Mother. That, I feel like, is our ultimate gift that he's trying to give to us and try to show us and trying to enlighten us, to open up that third eye, to burst open that heart chakra, to be one with God again, to live as people did back in the past where they were able to build huge buildings, where they were able to have societies and cultures and stuff that work for everybody and not just a few. But obviously Satan and his henchmen have got in and they've created chaos. And they've got us to worship money and worship idols and other things, and that we've lost our greatest sense of source of who we really are. And I think if we follow this enough, if we follow this relationship enough and it gets deep enough, I think we'll all be led into the wilderness by the Holy Spirit, just as John the Baptist, Buddha, Krishna, and Christ. It is a blueprint of how things are done. And there may be times now, because everything is so sped up, we don't need 40 days. But I would not try to do it any quicker than anybody else has done in the past. I think eventually this will happen as an earthly thing that happens for all of us. There will be a time period of what we call the end of the age, the birthing pains that he describes, that the earthquakes literally are birthing pains, that Mother Earth is giving birth to a new way of being, to a new human being for us to be, and a new way for us to be on this earth. And I think if we can do that, we can have our own ascension where we will see Christ in the clouds. So the rapture says that Christ will come in the clouds and he'll pick us all up and take us all. Well, it doesn't really say this in the Bible. This is what Christians say today. That they will take them off for the 7 years trial of tribulation to be saved from that. They're not going to have to deal with that stuff, or maybe they will. It's not really in there. So it's like this modern day Christianity thing that's not really there. I beg to differ. I think that the ascension is for all of us. I think Christ is waiting for us up there to ascend up, to rapture up, to be caught up in love, to be caught up in who we really are, to let go. You can only ascend if you let go of all the things, all the stuff that's keeping you down, all the hate, all the jealousy, all the lust, all the greed, and to lighten up from those things, to be free from them, to be totally free, to be caught up. That's how we rapture up. And I think that we can all do that And I think I've had what I feel like little experiences of death and rebirth throughout my life over and over again of who I thought I was, until I think we get to this really big, awesome, incredible way of being. And if we can do that, if we can become those ascended beings again, those ascended masters again, I think that we could live like Mary in Christ. And I think Mary is the title too. She's married. Her heart and her brain are married in coherence. Her left and her right brain are married, and she's married to Christ. Mary's the title. Mary was Jesus' mother. Mary is Jesus' partner. And when Jesus is on the cross, his mother's sister, named Mary, was there with him. Now, why would you name both your kids Mary? Unless they're titles. Unless they're titles. People lived like this back in the day. People saw halos. They're not this little two-dimensional disc around the head. They were literally encompassing their whole head. People saw that, the light that came from their head and the light that came from their hearts. There was many people back in those days that did that. I think eventually when we start to squeegee out these pineal glands and we start to open up these chakras and all these things that we're talking about today to get there, we'll see these things again and we'll be these people again. We won't just think about them. We won't just read about them. We'll be them, and we'll give birth to them. We'll give birth to quantum, cosmic Christ beings again. Men and women who never forget who they are. They remember who they are. They remember the source. They remember where I came from, who I am, what's my mission here to do, and they already know it. And I know you probably have already heard and seen a few of these kids already who already remember their past lives and who remember who they are and remember what they're here to do. And if we can do that, if we can be part of the harvest of the good wheat, and at the end of this age, when it comes to be, in Revelation 21, it talks about a new earth and a new heaven. And people say the new earth is new age, Jacob. It's literally in Revelation 21. Look it up. It's a whole entire story on Revelation 21 of what the new earth looks like, what the new heaven on top, and what the golden Jerusalem holy city looks like with 12 crystals embedded all in it and what it all looks like. It's incredible. It's in there. I don't want someone to come pick me up and save me from the things that I've gotten myself into. That doesn't do me any good. I want to work on those things myself and be a better person and be more Christ-like and eventually become a Christ myself. I get to experience this new earth, this new heaven on earth that's supposed to reign for at least 1,000 years. I believe that's our rights to be there. And that there's people that already know about this, you see, and they try to hide those books and they try to hide those texts and they try to program you to watch stupid stuff on television that does you no good. But the good thing is there's Christ, there's Mary energy out there, and all you have to do is have a real relationship with it. And so that you can never be deceived. They can't keep it from you. They got to put stuff in your food. They got to put stuff in our water. They put stuff in our air. Why? Because you are that powerful. You're that amazing. They have to do all of it to try to dumb you down, to try to water you down to the person that's something that you're not. But it's to your advantage, because the minute you realize you've been taken advantage of is the minute you can realize your own worth and who you really are. And that pulling yourself down like a rubber band, when you finally let go, you can shoot back up to a state of being and awareness that's far beyond our wildest dreams. And I think ancient books have always told about it, even though the Council of Nicaea got a hold of this Bible and tore it up with the King James Version. They couldn't take all of it out. There's still some really good stuff in there. Don't let some of the division, because we obviously know from the Old and New Testament, there are a lot of things in there that actually contradict each other. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life. But Christ says, no. Love your Lord, your God, with all your heart and your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's the first and second commandment. Not the 10 commandments. That's Judaism. That's not the same thing. So I offer you today to read these books, to understand the deeper meanings, and that there are people out there trying to dumb us down and keep us from knowing the deepest secrets of who we really are. and that you don't need to read a book, you don't need to watch television. You can literally sit in your own room, in your own house, and start to have a real relationship with something that's beyond what you've ever been told in school that you had to work on for 12 or 13 years. That's right here and right now, that can blow you away in revelations and revealing to you information you never even thought was possible. And I encourage everyone to do that. And if you are interested in that, reach out to me. I'm starting a course where I would like to do some online work with people and help you have your own personal relationship with Christ, because it's not about me. It's not about what I can deliver to you. It's about you having a personal relationship with that so that you can become one with Christ and you, and He and you with God. You don't need a middleman, and you don't need a religion, but you have to start making your righteousness and holiness surpass that of the teachers and the Sadducees and the Pharisees and all the people. That's what's most important. Your walk with God. And I can tell you now, we are at the end of that Piscean age, into the age of Aquarius, the man who carries the water that they always talk about. You need to look for that man who carries the water. And that's where we are. And it's coming. It's coming fast. That harvest is coming. And as you know, I don't have to convince anybody of that, I don't think, at this point. You can look out and see all the things. I'll leave you with this. One of the things that he says is when you look at a fig tree and you see the leaves and the thing starting to sprout, you know it's about to be spring. He said that's the same thing with the coming of this age. When you see the famine, destruction, the war, and all the stuff, then you know that it's coming too. Watch for the signs. And we see that. We know it. Not to be scared or be afraid, but to say, hallelujah, I'm ready. Thank you guys. I appreciate y'all so much. I just want to end with one more thing. And I would just like to, if I can get through it, I just want to say that prayer, that Lord's Prayer with you guys before I leave. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we have forgiven our trespasses against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Thank you, guys.